Hi guys! In many of my previous videos, I've mentioned that you should give yourself some time, like 10 to 15 minutes or let's say half an hour in a day to practice pronunciation of certain words. Uh, this is important for people who are interacting with international clients. If you don't require it in your job, then I'm not saying that you have to speak in a neutral accent. However, if you feel that you want to have a neutral accent, improve your English, so this is for those people. And today I'm going to discuss, 10 commonly mispronounced words in the customer service industry. So if you're a part of the BPO industry or if you work in customer service, this is going to be very helpful for you if you want to neutralize your accent. And many times, people would say that, hey, this is American, this is Brit, like when it comes to difference in pronunciation, that okay, Americans say it like this, Brits say it like this. So there's a lot of confusion. I've also sometimes read comments of people where they would say, you're saying this, but I heard someone else say this. The reason is because even within the US or within the UK, there are different accents. So it's like in India, if there's a certain word, a lot of people say it in different ways. Even if it's a Hindi word, people would say it, according to their state's language, right? So that is why a word is pronounced differently by different people. Now the confusion comes, how should I say it? So I would say just go as per the dictionary, and the two resources I've suggested in my previous videos as well. One is Merriam-Webster. This is an American dictionary. The other one is the Cambridge Dictionary. This is a UK dictionary. So the first word that you see on the screen. Now let's first look at Merriam-Webster. Okay, how Americans say it. Let's hear it first.
Clientele.
Clientele. Clientele. So there are three parts to it. The last part is stressed. So it's clientele. Clientele. Okay, then let's go to, then in Cambridge, they have US and UK both. So let's hear it one more time. In Cambridge.
Clientele. Clientele.
Clientele. Clientele. So I also usually say it like this because I've just been so used to working with American clients. However, if I have to work for work with someone from the UK and the person would say something like
Clientele.
clientele,
Clientele.
clientele, or whatever, however they would say it. So in this dictionary it says clientele. Now why I am able to immediately make a switch is not because I want to copy them. It's only because the other person feels more comfortable, and this is easy for me to do. Only because I have been conducting accent trainings, or I have practiced a lot when it comes to pronunciation, or I've spoken with a lot of clients over a video call or over the phone. So for me, at this point it becomes easy. However, if let's say you are like, you just want to learn one way to pronounce it, which has to be the correct way, so you can simply stick to whatever you find comfortable. If you think that clientele is comfortable, like for me that's very comfortable. So if I'm in general talking in English, I would say clientele. And even if the other person is saying clientele or however it's given here,
Clientele.
clientele, I would only use it if the person is not able to understand me. But if I'm still saying clientele, I don't think they would have a problem. So you stick to one, say it correctly. So just say 5 times clientele, clientele, clientele. If you're working for a US based process, okay? And if you are working for, let's say, a UK process, then you might want to practice
Clientele.
clientele. That's given in the dictionary. So anyone who comes back to me and says, but I heard this person in the UK say it like this, absolutely, because different people say it in different ways. I'm sure if I talk to a client and if he says it in a certain way, it will just be learning for me. So that is why there's a confusion. But I would, a lot of people, they just want to have this argument, okay, on pronunciation of words. I would say just focus on your basic, correct pronunciation. Because if you start even saying clientele, a lot of good English speakers will be able to understand you, right? So why are we learning English? It's not because we don't want to speak in our language. I speak in my language, Hindi, Punjabi, all the time at home. But when I'm talking to a client, I want to make sure that he or she understands me. So please understand the reason why we are talking about accent neutralization. It has nothing to do with that we should only speak in English and so on and so forth. This is only for all those people who are working with others who either are used to speaking in English or with your international clients. So the first one we've learned. Let's quickly move to the next one. Customer. I'll put this in both the dictionaries. Now you'll say it's such a Neetu is making us practice such a simple word, customer. But there's a reason, because sometimes even when I hear the dictionary, it helps me learn as well and improve as well. So technically, each time I'm saying this, I'm improving along with you guys. So let's say Merriam-Webster.
Customer.
Customer. Now you see here a lot of times when we are saying customer, sometimes we stress on the mer, but that's not correct. The correct here is you stress on the first part, customer, customer, customer. Okay, so if somebody says customer or customer, that won't be correct. So it's customer. So you're stressing on the first part, and you're also using your sounds correctly. Now let's hear Cambridge.
Customer.
Customer, the US way, and UK.
Customer.
Customer. So the only difference is if you learn it as per Cambridge, you will not be pronouncing the R at the end a lot, because British people do not pronounce the R too much, so it becomes customer, customer. But in the American way of pronouncing it, the R is rolled, the R's are rolled, so it'll be customer. So I'll roll my tongue and say the R, customer. However, like I said, if you just want to neutralize it, don't focus too much on rolling the R or not pronouncing the R. Even if you say customer, you just stress on the first part. Customer. Your ta is okay, your ka is okay, you're stressing on the first part, you're saying it correctly. Customer. It's easy to understand. So let's move to the next one. Okay, let me put it in the dictionary first. Okay, the US way of pronouncing this.
Escalate.
Yeah, I was correct. Escalate. So there are three parts. Escalate. And the first one is stress. Escalate. Escalate. Let's quickly put it in Cambridge as well. It confirms.
Escalate.
Yeah. So the American way to say this would be escalate, and the British way is
Escalate. Escalate.
escalate. So pretty similar. Escalate. Simple word. Escalate. You stress on the first part. That's all you remember. Escalate. And the last part has an A sound. Escalate. Escalate. Let me hear it again.
Escalate.
Escalate. Simple pronunciation. So that's how easy it is to confirm the pronunciation. Sometimes, when people argue so much on pronunciation, I just go like, just go check the dictionary, confirm it. It's that easy. Rather than having that 1 hour of argument or discussion. Just simply check the dictionary, improve it, and move on. Okay, this is also very confusing in common. So I'm going to first put it in the dictionary, and then I'll tell you how I see it. Because again, a lot of people will be like, but this is said like this. So let's learn it in Merriam-Webster. There are different ways to say this word.
Data.
Data. That's exactly how I say it. Data. So your t in the American way, it's a little less pronounced, so it becomes more like a subtle d. So it's data.
Data.
Data. And the first part is stress in this way of pronouncing it. Data. 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 So just remember that. And the second is a little like a d. So data. Data.
Data.
Data.
Data.
Data is also okay. This is such a common confusion. A lot of people feel that, oh, it's not data, it's data. No, it's both. You can say either. So data, and the second one is? Say it.
Data.
Data. Both are correct.
Data.
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 Data is also correct. So data was data. Let's
Data.
Data, data, and data. Both are
Data.
correct. Data. I am very comfortable saying data because that's what I've learned always. But you can say all three. Let's check Cambridge as well.
Data.
Data. Again, the common way is data. That's why Cambridge says data.
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 So in the UK way, it's basically the t is more pronounced. So data. Data. Learn it like that. Data. All right, let's move to the next word. American way to say it.
Apologize.
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 Apologize. And your second part is stress. Pa is stress. Apologize.
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 Apologize. Apologize.
Apologize. So pa is stress. And a lot of times we feel that the last part is stress. See, if you say apologize, Sometimes we stress on jais. However, if you stress on paw, you will just sound more neutral. This is a very minor shift in the stress of the syllable. However, if you actually stress on paw, you will just see how different you sound. So just think about it. If I'm stressing on paw, it's apologize. But if I'm stressing on jais, it's apologize. You understand? So it's very important to know which syllable is stressed. So second part is stress. Apologize. Apologize.
Apologize.
Apologize.
Apologize.
Apologize.
Apologize.
All different ways to pronounce it. They all pretty much confirm the same thing. Apologize. इसमें ना I've heard a couple of people also say apologize because they kind of get confused. It's not their fault. It's because sometimes we hear it incorrectly. So again, please always check the dictionary or learn it with me, like the way I'm doing it here with you guys. So it's helping me as well. So let's learn together. Apologize.
Apologize.
Apologize or apologize. Now, it's such a short word, but you'll say, why is she making us practice this? Because it's the common words that if we pronounce correctly each day, then overall we start sounding better. So it's sometimes we forget, to learn the basic words. So let's move to the next one. Feedback.
Feedback.
Feedback. I'm again double checking it so that we understand how it's said.
Feedback.
Feedback, US way.
Feedback.
Feedback, the British way. So the correct one is feedback. You're stressing on feedback, feedback, feedback. All right, next move to the next one. There is a common confusion in this word also. So let's hear it together. Make sense? We will hear it in Merriam-Webster first.
Courtesy.
Courtesy,
Courtesy.
courtesy. So there are three parts to it. Courtesy, courtesy, courtesy. First part is stress. Courtesy, courtesy. Okay. Now let's check it in Cambridge.
Courtesy.
Courtesy,
Courtesy.
courtesy. So courtesy, but cur is stress. Courtesy. This is the American way to say it.
Courtesy.
Now the British way.
Courtesy.
Courtesy, courtesy. Both are correct. Just don't say it like the way it's spelled here, like courtesy or courtesy. If you simply say courtesy, courtesy, you'll sound more neutral. Courtesy. Nobody's expecting you to say courtesy, 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 courtesy. I would say courtesy only when I'm talking to an American client. If I'm talking to anyone who's my friend, I would usually say like courtesy, because that's just how I talk with them. So again, choose between when you want to talk to your friends using a neutral accent. If you stick to using a neutral accent even with your friends, it just becomes very easy for you to do your job better. You kind of get used to it. So next one, your
Colleague.
colleague,
Colleague.
colleague,
Colleague.
colleague, colleague. Now I've heard so many people say colleague, colleague, colleague. So I'm gonna check for myself. Sometimes I feel, am I saying it correctly? Is it colleague? So Merriam-Webster confirms it. Colleague,
Colleague.
colleague, and co is stressed. So it's not like, so when you say colleague, league, you're stressing on league, but actually co is stressed, and it's a co or sound. So colleague. Let's check it in Cambridge as well.
Colleague.
Colleague. So nobody's saying colleague here.
Colleague.
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 Colleague. So the American way is colleague. That's the R sound. Colleague.
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 A little actually a little R sound. Colleague. Colleague. It's not even O, it's R sound. Colleague. Colleague. However, I usually in India when I'm talking, I would say colleague, and people really understand it, pretty well. Now the UK, the car becomes a little O. Colleague. Colleague.
Colleague.
Colleague.
Colleague.
Colleague. And your first part is still the first part is stress. So if you notice, the difference between the American way to say it and the British way to say it is just a few sounds change, but your syllable is still the same here. Colleague or colleague. I don't say colleague. I always say colleague. It's just how I am comfortable. So you can decide for yourself. I will not, I leave that choice to you. And obviously when you're doing your job, you will be able to decide better, which way you want to say it. But you should know the correct way. So colleague nahi hai guys. Colleague or colleague. No colleague. That's not the correct way to say it. So, okay, let's move to the next one. Procedure.
Procedure.
Okay, so it says procedure. So C is stressed. Now you see, even when I'm practicing this, sometimes even I end up saying procedure, like when I'm stressing the pro, but that's not correct. Procedure. So that's the C is stressed.
Procedure.
Procedure. Procedure. All right, let's check.
Procedure. Procedure.
Procedure. Now if somebody's saying procedure, doesn't mean you have to say procedure. I'm just checking it because different people say it different, in a different way. So if you're used to saying procedure, then it's fine. If you find it easy, you can.
Procedure. Procedure.
Even the British way is procedure. Procedure. So pro is stressed. No, sorry, C is stressed. Procedure. So American way, British way, both the second part is stressed. Procedure.
Procedure.
Procedure or procedure, however you like to say it. Just have to, you just have to make sure that the stress is, you put the stress on the correct syllable. If you do that, you'll sound very clear. Okay, so इसमें भी बहुत confusion आती है because a lot of people, feel कि ये query नहीं है या फिर this is pronounced as query. If you hear a lot of Americans say it, they would say it as query. So it's a little E there, okay? I'll make you hear it.
Query.
Query. It's like a little E sound. So query. Query.
Query.
Usually a lot of people say this is the correct one. So it's query.
Query.
And let's also hear Cambridge. That also says same.
Query.
Query. So there's a little E there, like query.
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 Query. However, even Merriam-Webster confirms that it can also be said as
Query.
query. Now, I watched a video of someone who said, no, this is not query, but this is query. Because they're used to saying it like that. So they're used to hearing it like that. So it's query. However, since the dictionary also confirms it, so if you're saying query, it is acceptable because some, pronunciation of certain words, when a lot of people start to say it in a certain way, it becomes globally acceptable. So even query, you will hear a lot of good English speakers say query as well. However, since when some person says query, I learned that way as well. So whatever I hear, I, say it like that. So if my client is very particular that they want to talk to someone who can say query, I will say query. It's not a big deal. However, if I'm talking in general, I will also say query. So query or query, your choice. But some people do say that, say it as query. So I am going to leave that choice to you. Now you might say that, okay, Neetu, but you're not really telling us how to say it. See, I'm just telling you how I say it in day-to-day language because it has worked for me in the corporate industry. They are totally okay if I say query or query. However, if I am talking to a client, they like it if I am, saying it as per the way they are pronouncing it. If they're saying query, and if I feel that if I say query and my client is happy and trusts me more with my work, then I say query. So you really have to take a call. So as the more you work, the more you'll smarten out and understand that, which kind of accent to use with clients. But when I'm teaching neutral English, I would always say avoid the confusion. Because a lot of times the confusion is that, how do I say it? Just tell me one way. A lot of my trainees used to tell me that you tell me one way, I'll learn it. So I would say if you can learn query, that's awesome. Because that will just, make you get used to it, query. And then you'll hear a lot of people say query, so you'll say something in between a query and a query, and you'll end up sounding good. So query, so that's how it is, query. So I'm actually using the E sound, query, query. I have a query for you, okay, or I have a query for you. Either is okay. You will end up sounding, pretty good, and people will be able to understand you pretty clearly. The only reason why we're saying neutral accent, जब तक आप ये नहीं बोलेंगे query है मेरी, I have a query for you. So in fact, these days nobody actually says like that. It's only when we're talking to people around we might say it because we're used to saying it like that. However, if you go to good corporate organizations, all good speakers who have a neutral accent would say either you would say query or query. Both are okay. However, you'll never find them say query. unless they're talking to, let's say, their own team member, then it's kind of fine, because that's when we are not really using the sounds and the accent. But if you see voice and accent trainers talking, mostly they will say it as query or query. They would use the sounds correctly only because it's a part of their job. So don't come back to me saying that why are you making me talk like an American or a Brit. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to tell you that this is the correct way. And even when I'm talking in Hindi, sometimes I get corrected that hey, ये ऐसे ठीक नहीं बोला है, like ये सही नहीं है, इसको इस तरह से बोलना है. और पंजाबी में तो my I keep asking my mom and she corrects me a lot. तो I would say जो भी language आप सीख रहे हो, you should know how to learn it. So this is the easiest way that you learn English pronunciation. You practice the words. Let me also give you a few tips. Other than stressing on, in addition to stressing on the correct syllable, which is the correct part of the word, also there are certain long sounds, okay? Like in query only, if you notice, it's query, query. So if you, so there are two parts to it, and so if you just stress the correct sounds in the stress syllable. So the first one is the stress syllable, queer. So if I just say that really well, even if I'm saying the next part in a very average way, I will still end up sounding clear. So this is for clarity. You open your mouth and talk, pronounce each sound clearly. Don't just try to confuse the pronunciation. Sometimes what we do is when we're talking and we feel, okay, I can't understand the pronunciation, so we will just, query. It doesn't work like that. Say query, 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 or query. So, but say it. Don't just say query, query. That doesn't work. Query or query. But do say it. At least your k is clear, your r is clear, your e is clear. So query. Even if you're simply saying query, your e is clear. So say it like that. Your k has to be clear. It doesn't have to be. So if you're not saying query, I think if you just say the k sound correctly, query, you will end up sounding more neutral and more clear to the client or the customer you're talking to. So yeah, this brings us to the end of 10 words and some tips. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.